Hello everyone, this is Mixed Media in Simple Steps, and I want to show you how much fun texture rubbing can be. I usually use a wax crayon, any type of wax crayon, to make my rubbings, but you can also use the Neocolor 2 water-soluble crayons. You can use colored pencils, regular pencils, or the China markers, something like that. The point cannot be too sharp, too pointy, because it will rip through your paper. So you want something a little bit on the soft side. When you're using a point like for a pencil, you want to kind of use the side and not necessarily the very, very tip of that point. So the first thing you need to do is find a texture to rub. One place to go and look if you've got texture plates for an embossing machine. Texture plates are great, and I'm going to use this texture plate to show you some of the different things that happen when you use all these crayons and pencils and stuff. So this is a wax crayon. And I do take the papers off my wax crayon so that I can use the sides of them so that it looks a little like that. The rubbing only occurs where the crayon rubs against a hard surface. So the bits of paper that didn't have anything underneath, they don't have any color there. You can also use the tip of the crayon, but you're going to get just a little slightly different rubbing using the tip of the crayon. Some of that crayon does end up on the paper between the texture. So you've got a little bit more crayon there, all right? You can also use the Neo 2 water-soluble crayons. Again, I take my papers off so that I can do things like this. But that is that. And if you use the tip of it, again, you put more color on the paper because it pokes into the paper a little bit and catches the paper where there isn't any texture. This is a colored pencil. It is one of those fancy ones. It has 3 colors in the lead. I never use it, so I thought I would use it for this. You need to use the side of the point, do not go up and down. Try to use the side of the point so you don't tear your paper. But it works. And the China marker, also use the side of the point so that you don't rip your paper. But that works really well too. All right, so there's some different marks from different things. And here's the fun part. This is where I really have a lot of fun. And backing up just a little bit, I am going to use this fly swatter. And I'm going to use a white crayon for the rubbing. And there's a reason. I'm using white on the white paper. You can't see what's going on yet. That is a wax crayon. I'll get back to that. You can put watercolors or inks over your rubbings. When you use a wax crayon, it acts as a resist on your paper. So if you use a contrasting color, I used white, you can't see it, but I used white. If I use a dark color over that, the wax rubbing acts as a resist, and then you can see that white crayon. So that's the trick. If you have a dark crayon rubbing, you want light watercolor or light ink on top. If you've got a light color, and you can do this with the egg, you know, those little egg crayons, they're clear. You can, you know, the egg, the dye kits that you get sometimes has those clear crayons in. You can do something like this on a colored paper and do a resist like this, and that'll be the same kind of thing. So let me show you what happens with the different kinds of pencils and crayons. This is my wax crayon, and I am going to put a little bit of metallic over that. I need a little bit more metallic, as you can see. The resist there, it adds a little bit of color, it adds some interest. For the Neo Color 2 crayons, they are water soluble, so I am just going to add a little bit of clear water, damp my brush just a little bit, and brush it. It softens the texture just a tad, depends on how much you rub, and it can move the color to make a really cool effect. So there's less color here than there is on this side. So you can see there's a lot more color here. And the China marker is not water soluble, so nothing really happens with that. So you can't see anything there. And the pencil is the same thing. You can add some watercolor color over the pattern, but the pattern is not going to move at all. So, you know, that is just one way to add some color. And I'm going to go back to this fly swatter and do another rubbing with the white. You don't have to use watercolor over the top. You can use spray inks. I have this glimmer mist that I will try to use. So you can see the wax crayon acts as a resist, so it's kind of cool the way that works. So, some places to find some textures to do some rubbings. Stencils. You've got stencils, I'm sure. Stencils work really well. They don't have to be really thick stencils. They can be the thinner ones too. You just have more white paper underneath to add watercolor or other colors to. This is a brass template. I got this one at Hobby Lobby. It is a butterfly, and it is a good rubbing as well. And you can actually color that in if you so choose. Let me move this over here. You can also use rubber stamps. This one is off its block. I like to use the flat side of my crayons to do these. The impression is just a little bit better when you use the flat side. You can use the tip, but I like the flat side a little bit better. And this is one of my handmade stamps. As long as you can feel a texture, it will work. I showed the fly swatter. This one I found at the Dollar Tree. I haven't found them in a long time. And you saw the big squares that makes. These little fly swatters I found at Publix. That's my grocery store. And this one at the Dollar Tree. And they also, I just broke my crayon. They also make great rubbings. All right. Another piece of paper. This is a Lego board. This one is actually the generic one I found at the Dollar Tree. I like the generic ones better than the actual Lego boards. Lego puts their logo on every little raised dot, and it doesn't make a really good impression when you try to make a rubbing on it. The generic ones like this are completely smooth on the top, so they make great polka dots. And I also like the back side of that plate for the circles. Another thing that I use is cross-stitch mesh. I like the circular one. I like the pattern it makes. Another one of my favorites is flip-flops and the soles of shoes. Kids have great patterns on the soles of their shoes. If you take a look, go to their closet, take a look. These are flip-flops. This one is my favorite. I do like that. And this one I found last year on sale for $1. And I like to move my paper around and kind of make a pattern with the patterns. They can be really, really cool. You can find some very interesting patterns on the soles of your shoes. And another one is this bottle I also found at the Dollar Tree. It has a raised surface. Take a look at your dishes and things like that. If you can feel the pattern, you can probably do a rubbing. Put the paper over it and just make the rubbing. So textures can be found in a lot of different places. Keep your eyes out. Make some rubbings in some different media, and you can add color on top, and it makes it a lot of fun. I would let this dry, and then I can tear it up and glue it in collage, or I can do this directly on my journal pages and have an interesting texture in the background. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.